Greetings and welcome to Monster Legends for another special feeding episode. This time we're going to be feeding a mythic that I acquired at a recent challenge that was named after him. And this is Mr. Beast, the monster that is, not the YouTuber. And this Mr. Beast is a mythic, as I mentioned, and is also Thunder. Mr. Beast is also part of the Good Legions, a superhero, very exclusive, and takes time for adventuring. He showed up with 1 lock ruin slot, which is a lot better than 2, so we're going to have to invest in that. So let's just find him a home. He can hang out with those guys? Yeah. Okay, that was pretty destructive. I like it. Okay, so where's our new friend? This is a lad. No, this is a lad. We'll find some kind of cool name for him. So, this is Mr. Beast. He is a mythic. He is Thunder. He has an evolving trait. Let's take a look at that. He starts out at rank 0 being hardened, which means he has an additional 20% chance to resist negative status effects. At rank 1, he also becomes immune to stun, a very common control method used among mythics. At rank 3, he gains a status cast for life regeneration, and that, of course, is for the entire party. Very, very useful. Alright, so let's check out his stats. His strength is very good. His life is very good. His speed is pretty darn good, too, so he's got some really good stats. Alright, let's move on to his initial skills. We begin with 1,000,000 gems. Deals moderate thunder damage to 1 enemy, applies shock to 1 enemy, and that's got a 0 cooldown. We're probably not going to keep it though, because this guy's got a lot of really good skills. Yes, he does. Alright, let's try this one. Let me help you. Deals low thunder damage to all enemies. Yeah, that one's not really very useful. No. With his stats, if it was something that was moderate, maybe, but no, that one's kind of a throwaway. And of course, his special skills, I will eat your cookies. Removes positive status effects from all enemies. Deals heavy thunder damage to all enemies. Applies shock and bleed to all enemies. So, you better let him have those cookies. This warrior for justice and fairness was born to put an end to Arieta's greed. He's taken all of that monster's riches and redistributed them fairly among those who need it. This is just the beginning of his mission. Mr. Beast is here to stay. Alright, if he's here to stay, we better feed him, otherwise he's going to starve to death. So I'm suggesting tomatoes. So let's get going. To his final form, there he is. Okay, yeah, don't mess with him. He'll hurt you. So let's continue to level 7, the beginning of the skills. Money can't burn out. Deals heavy thunder damage to 1 enemy, applies torture immunity to all allies. That is a very, very good skill. I'm definitely going to be keeping that one. Alright, so let's get to level 10 for his next skill. Activate notifications. Removes all negative status effects from itself. Heals self by 50%. We're going to have to see about that. If we choose to do tanking with him, absolutely. But we're going to have to see about that. So let's get all the way now to level 20 for his next skill. Free life potions. Deals moderate thunder damage to all enemies. Applies life regeneration to all allies. Alright, for the moment, I will put that right there. That's a far better one. Alright, so let's continue to level 25. Another skill. Let's buy everything. Applies skill mirror to itself. Applies positive protections effect to itself. I'm not taking that one. No. His skills are just really too good to ignore some of the other ones. So I'm not taking that no matter what. Alright, level 30. Let's buy everything. No, we're not buying that. I do want to buy something else though. So let's continue. The most protectful. Applies Megaton to itself. Gives 1 extra turn to itself. Alright, so here is the dilemma. I think at the moment, I'm going to take that and then we're going to have to see. So I guess you would call this the tank configuration for now. Right, he's got the Mega Taunt up here. Gives him the extra turn. He has this one here, which is a group attack, which gives regeneration, which is very useful for him. Mind you, if he's rank 3, he does that right at the beginning of the fight, so it's less important. Then he's got this one, of course, which gives torture immunity to all his allies, and it's a good single target hit, for those individuals who are dodging group attacks. And of course, torture effects are the bane of mythics. So if he's making his team immune to them, that is good. And then of course we have this one, which removes negative status effects from himself and heals him by 50%. So if he used this one, he's mega taunting, that could be very useful. But we're not done yet, so let's just get him all the way up there, see what happens at level 30. Unlimited Gems card. Deals moderate thunder damage to all enemies, applies shock to all enemies. Alright, so that's kind of an interesting situation. Do you want the regeneration? Or do you want the shock to all enemies? Shock, of course, is a torture effect that will prevent extra turning. No extra turns allowed. If he's rank 3, I think it's a no-brainer that you're probably going to go with the one that does shock, because they probably already have regeneration, at least for the first 3 rounds. So you might be hoping for a quick fight. I don't know what I'm going to be doing with him in testing. You know, I think for the first round, I'm probably just going to go with the damage and see how that works out. So what I might do, at least for round 60, I might just leave the Megataunt out. Because really there's not a lot of big damage happening at that point. I'm thinking by the time boss fights rolls around, then I might need it. Alright, so let's just, I think that is pretty much all of the skills. Yeah, we're going to see that one a lot. We're probably also going to see the Megataunt one as well, as we go all the way to level 60. We will be stopping by to see the skills, just in case. There's a couple of different ways you could play him. You could go straight tank, and then you can go with the positive skill protection with the skill mirror, that one right there. I don't know. See, the thing about it, and that's it, level 60. I nearly went further. All right, let's just take a look here. Like I was saying, there's different ways you can actually play him. Now, you could go with the Megataunt, and if you went with the Megataunt, you could also go with this one, the Skill Mirror and the Positive Effects Protection, because remember, he does get an extra turn after the Megataunt. So he does the Megataunt, and then he could just do this, making sure that the Megataunt can't be removed, but he also has a Skill Mirror, which means, of course, he'll reflect skills that get hit at him. So that's kind of useful. I think, really, those are the big ones. But I mean, that's half the skills right there. Now, you could just skip this one altogether and just go with the Megataunt. But what would you be doing with that? All right, now, if you go tanking, I'm thinking the logical one would be to substitute this one for this one. Because this one is more of an attack and a damage type, even though if you're limiting extra turns, you're also helping yourself if you're Megataunting, right? But I mean, this one does regeneration. And as I was saying, if he's rank 3, he's doing this automatically for the first 3 rounds in the beginning of a fight. It wouldn't even be a matter of discussion at that point. You'd probably take that one out and put that one in, right? But since we're not there, and then we have this one here, which the immunity to torture effects, really good. And of course, don't forget that you do need to be able to hit an individual if they're dodging group attacks. If everything you have is a group attack, well, that's kind of a problem, right? And this one, torture immunity, that is just really very useful. So I think that's probably something I'm definitely keeping. And this one, whether or not he's actually taunting or not, being able to give yourself a 50% heal, considering his health is very good, that's pretty useful right there. So what I think I'm going to do is basically for the first round of testing, which by the way might be tomorrow, I'm going to leave the Megataunt out and I'm going to put this one in. For testing purposes. I'm pretty sure that when I go to 80, I'm going to put the Megataunt back in. That's just what I plan on doing from the beginning. I'd like to have 2 group attacks and see how that works out. Anyway, let's look at his stats at 60. Like I said, his strength is pretty darn good. He's going to do some damage. I mean, he's not all the way up to an attacker, but it's pretty darn good. And his life, over 22,000, yeah, that's going to be really nice, especially if you put health on him, which is something you're probably going to do whether or not you're going full tank or not, right? Although in his case, since he isn't going to be Megataunting out of his trait, and he's never going to be doing that, maybe 2 lives and a speed, just to give him the ability to actually do that. And the fact that he's got skills that are very useful in supporty stuff, you know, the torture immunity and the life regeneration, I wouldn't mind him being a little bit faster because he does have a really good life to start with. So I might try that. Maybe 2 big old lives and a really good speed. So there's going to have to be a lot of testing with this guy long after he's maxed out, right? And of course, we are going to get opportunities for sells for him in the future. We're already getting those right now. All right, so let's just take a quick look at the skills that I selected. And please keep in mind that this is going to be for my first round of testing. I am going to make a change in the first skill. That's what I'm going to do. So don't be saying, oh, you left us out, anything like that. I am telling you that's what I'm going to do. All right, this is the one I'm going to keep in the beginning. Unlimited Gems card. Deals moderate thunder damage to all enemies, applies shock to all enemies. All right, so that's pretty good damage. It's about a 35, and it is moderate thunder damage. He's got a decent enough power, so it's going to hurt. And of course, shock is a torture effect that blocks extra turn skills, so that can be very useful depending on who you use it on, right? So this is a good skill. It's very damaging. It's got the torture effect in it. It's just that I'm only using it for testing purposes. Once I am going to put the Mega Taunt in, I'm definitely putting it in for here. But I could understand if somebody gets to rank 3, putting it back to substitute for this one. Free life potions. Deals moderate thunder damage to all enemies, applies life regeneration to all allies. Alright, so this one it's not as much damage, it does have a smaller cooldown, it is thunder damage again, but most importantly it gives regeneration. He's not going to taunt out of his trait, he's certainly not going to mega taunt out of his trait, so it's very possible by the time his turn comes up that they've been injured by somebody. So having the team begin to regenerate is not such a bad thing. And remember, what he could do is he could mega taunt, he gets his extra turn, then does this to begin the regeneration right after that. So, or if he himself is the only one who's hit, remember he can go down here and do this. That's something that extra turn out of the taunt allows him to do. This is something that's very useful, probably not as useful once you get him to rank 3 and he's going to be doing that out of his trait from the beginning of a fight, right, with the status cast. So at that point, you might want to substitute that back in. It's kind of the reason I want to test with it for now. And then we have Money Can't Burn Out. Deals heavy thunder damage to one enemy, applies torture immunity to all allies. Well, remember you always need that single target hit. And in this case, it's a really good hit, it's thunder damage, 2-round cooldown, and of course it gives torture immunity to your allies. Chances are, at this point, you probably have all mythics in your team, which means they have a lot of health, which also means that torture effects are the bane of their existence, because remember, torture effects take off a percentage of your health, so they don't care if you have 20,000 or 200,000. They're going to take off that same percentage, and if you're mythic, it's going to be a lot more. So, being immune to torture effects is a really good thing. And if you look at it, it's going to last for 3 turns, and it's got a 2-round cooldown, so he can perpetually keep his team immune to torture effects. And with the regeneration, yeah, that's actually some really good support there, without even throwing in the Mega Taunt. And then finally, we have this one. Activate notifications. Removes all negative status effects from itself, heals self by 50%. So he's going to be taking all the hits, once he Mega Taunts, and all the bad effects. So something like this that cleans him off and heals him by half, because that's going to be a lot of health. So this is what I would consider to be close to the full tanking spec, right? Except, of course, I don't have the Mega Taunt right now. The regeneration, and then the torture immunity, and of course the self-heal. That's the reason I don't think the skill mirror and the positive effects protection is really something that I could fit in. But for now, we'll go with this one, and then once we get into the testing, probably level 80, I'm going to put the Mega Taunt back in. Anyway, this guy is really good. He's got some very good support skills. He can tank. He can do all kinds of great stuff. In terms of his runes, it's really not as cut and dry in this case. I mean, if you're going to go the full tank spec, that's fine. You can go full life on him. That's a really good thing. A little extra speed, though, for him might be a good thing. Because remember, he does have to activate his Mega Taunt in order to do that. And he does have other things to protect the party that are very good. So I have to say, for the first time, for someone who I'm going to put Mega Taunt on, I'm thinking 2 life and a speed. Because I would like him to be able to get to those skills as quickly as possible. And yeah, he's going to take extra damage. But he does have a 50% heal and life regeneration, so he can certainly keep himself alive. And without the torture effects, since he can make his team immune to that, it's going to be a lot harder to kill him. So in this case, I don't really think he needs the 3rd health. So I'm going to go 2 life and 1 speed. That's what I'm thinking in terms of. Anyway, this is Mr. Beast. He is great, and I can't wait to start testing with them. And you never know, that might be very soon now. So anyway, thank you very much for your attention. I really appreciate it. And play games because games are fun. See ya.